Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Expats in Ukraine with your host, me, Corey. Today my guest, his name is Tomi. He is from Finland. He is a humanitarian and military instructor. What's up, Tomi?
Not much, very good. We've had pretty intense couple of weeks. Just got here a couple of weeks ago. Delivered our first couple of pieces of cargo and did our first training for this stint.
Yeah, you're doing, so much good. I follow you guys on Instagram. You're doing so much good work for Ukraine. And I'm really excited to talk to you. I was telling you this like a bit earlier. I'm really excited to sit down and chat with you. By the way, just for my pronunciation, I'm just trying to replicate you. Tomi is how you pronounce it, or Tommy?
Tomi.
Tomi.
Yeah.
Tomi.
We do have also Tommi in
Tomi.
Finland, the Finnish language, and we have a lot of names that foreign pronouncers often get mixed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because I so badly want to say Tommy, but, but this is like not how you pronounce it. You're like Tomi. Tomi. Yeah. I'm trying to do the Finnish accents. I don't know. I guess I was so, right? Yeah.
We'll get there.
I'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully by the end of this episode.
Sure.
But okay. So I don't know if you ever seen my podcast before, but what I like to do, I like to have like a little icebreaker at the very beginning before we talk about, dive into, everything that you're doing in Ukraine.
Sure.
So the way the icebreaker is, I'll give you two options and you just pick whichever one you prefer. Okay.
All right. Let's
Ready?
go.
Okay. So the first one, would you rather have a Carrefour or Lvivske piva?
Lvivske.
Lvivske. You don't like Carrefour?
I'm not even sure what the first one is.
Carrefour,
Lvivske, I know.
It's Finnish beer, right?
Karhu.
Oh,
I'll still go with Lvivske.
Carrefour. Sorry,
Yeah.
Carrefour.
I'll still go with Lvivske.
Yeah, I'll tell you like a funny story. So I used to date this Finnish girl. I talked about it earlier. But when I was in Finland, I went to the store to get a beer. Like, first of all, they're super expensive just for like a beer.
Yep.
Yeah, and second of all, I was in Helsinki. I was walking from the markets to her flats, maybe like half a kilometer or something like this. And it was like really cold outside, minus whatever. And I was like drinking the beer. I don't know if it's legal, but I was doing it. And then by the time I got to her flat, the beer was frozen. It was like halfway done. And I'm like, I can't drink this anymore.
At least it was properly chilled. As it should be.
Exactly, man. But no, Finland was great. I was telling you before that I was, traveling. I did some traveling to the north, like Oulu, visiting like her family. And then I went to Lapland and North Finn, South Finn. We had that laugh about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're like a West Finn. Or is that a thing? Right.
Well, I would say that, people go to Finland because of their nice nature and everything. And here in Ukraine, I understand people always telling me about Carpathians. I haven't had the chance to see that. But my region in the West is more like everything in the Western region or the central part of the country. So very flat. Very flat.
Yeah. They say like Finland is like the land of like thousands of lakes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
More towards the east.
Okay. Oh, towards the east.
We have the flatlands.
Oh, yeah.
So
Flatland. Okay.
a lot of fields, a lot of forest.
So you're like a flat fin.
Yeah.
Flat fin. You're a swamp fin.
Yes.
Okay, so next one. The Gulf of Bothnia or the Black Sea?
Ooh. I think I've enjoyed more. Again, leaning towards Ukraine in this, I've enjoyed more spending some time way before the war or this full-scale assault in Odessa.
Odessa, okay, right on. Yeah.
And I remember how nice and warm it was. We just arrived. It's dark. We're sitting in Arcadia on this like terrace restaurant, eating fish from the Black Sea, watching thunder in the distance. Nice, calm, very warm.
Yeah. Have you gone in the water in the Black Sea, like swam?
No, unfortunately.
Yeah, they have like
for that we didn't have time.
Yeah, I mean, you can still do it now. There was like a moment after the dam, I guess, exploded. There was a lot of, I guess, contamination in the Black Sea, but now it's normal. People can swim there. I used to live in Odessa for about a year, and I just moved back to Kyiv about like 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So there's like really cool beach clubs. They're not beach clubs, like beach lounge areas where you can rent like a little bed or, like one of those chairs. And you just relax on the beach.
That's pretty much as far as we got. We got to see all of that. We got to see how nice and blue the water was. But unfortunately, we didn't get to swim.
Yeah.
It's waiting.
It's like one of my things. Whenever I come to a new body of water, I just need to at least put my feet in, just to say like I've touched that water.
Yes,
yeah. I've never touched the Gulf of Bothnia. How do you say it?
Gulf of Bothnia, Osterbotnia.
Because I want to say Bosnia, but it's like Bothnia.
yeah, a little bit further away. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit, a
Yeah.
little bit. Okay, so so far you're 2 for 2 on the Ukraine challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if you can go the full 4 for 4. So next one, this is going to be a tough pronunciation for
Uh-huh.
me. Hernekeito or borscht?
Uh, this one, both of them are very good, and I love borscht. But I have to say that I do occasionally miss the every Thursday traditional hernekeitto
Hernekeito.
with mustard,
Mhm.
with raw onion, and if it's a luxury version, it might have some bacon.
Can you explain what this dish is to the audience?
Well,
And also to me,
I
I
ha-
just Googled it really quick.
there's something similar here available, like this mashed peas that are usually served with something meat or so,
Yeah.
and it tastes exactly the same. It's just less
Mm.
liquidy form of that same thing. It tastes pretty much like peas and nothing else. And mustard has a huge impact. You have to have the strong one,
Yeah.
so you get that extra flavor.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I actually I don't remember if I've tried any type of Finnish food. I'm trying to think right now. I just had karhu.
Salmon soup? No.
What?
Salmon soup? No. Oh no.
Oh, I'm a bad
You
Finn.
have to go back to Finland.
I know
for
I
a
have to go back
trip.
now.
Yeah.
Shame on me. No, yeah, it's so strange. Usually I like to try the local cuisine, or maybe I tried something, but I had such a long, strange name like herneketo that I just forgot.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I definitely had a karhu.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
tradition, and hernekeitto as well is a tradition. Every Thursday, all the canteens, all schools, military, everybody is having pea soup on Thursdays. But it also comes with the added bonus. So you always have with the pea soup some pancakes and jelly.
So is it like normal pancakes like crepes, or is it pancakes made
No,
out of
it's like
potatoes or something?
thick
Oh,
stuff.
thick ones. It's
Yeah.
like American style.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's made on a proper like thick big pan sheet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The American style pancakes are like quite thick as well. I don't know if you tried
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ukrainian pancakes like milinci, it's like very thin. It's like crepes.
Yeah, I think basically the dough is the same.
Mhm.
It's just in a lot
Yeah.
thicker
Exactly.
form factor.
Yeah. Exactly. That's Americans.
Yeah, yeah.
More food, the best, the
Yeah.
better. But okay, last one: Helsinki or Kyiv?
I do like the compactness of Helsinki.
Mhm.
It's easy to walk around.
Mhm.
Public transit is very effective, very fast and clean. And while I like to spend time in Kyiv whenever I have a possibility, which hasn't been a lot lately, I do like to spend a lot of time in Kyiv. But Helsinki is still my choice if I have to decide where I would be living.
Okay. Yeah. Helsinki was nice. Yeah. Like you said, public transport is clean. The whole city is just clean, like in general.
Yeah.
I like that. I guess what building is it? There's like a bunch of steps, and then there's like this. Is it like a church or something?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
the church and the parliament building. Both have these magnificent big steps.
Yeah.
The other one facing the sea. You can see the square. You can see the ships in the background, the sea, the
Yeah.
old market halls.
No, it's a beautiful city. Yeah, this girl I was dating at the time, she had a flat that overlooked kind of the sea.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have sea on the 3 different directions in Helsinki, and pretty much most of the apartments have some kind of sea view, I would say.
Yeah. No, it's
Maybe not the full one, but
yeah,
a
you
little
know,
bit of glimpse.
either way, it's great. And she introduced me to a lot of her Finnish friends
Yeah.
in Helsinki, and we had such good times. I really enjoyed my time there. But yeah, I've been meaning to go back. I was back like in 2017.
Yeah.
Wow, so many years ago, 2007, 2018, something like this. I went with my Brazilian friend because he was moving back to Brazil, and I said, let's do like a little trip. And we went to Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, then
Yeah.
Helsinki. And then we went to my friend, this girl I was going out with. We went to her house, but she was living with her parents at this point. And she's like, yeah, you can stay with my parents. It was like a huge flat. They even have a sauna in the basement because apparently all Finnish houses have a sauna in the basement.
Not only in the basement, quite many also have it in the apartment
In
itself.
the apartment.
In the apartment. That's a nice fact we keep telling here as well to people, because I know that there's a strong sauna culture in Ukraine as well.
Yeah.
People love sauna, but it's in a whole different way when you know that it's in almost every apartment.
Yeah. No, it's totally it's true. You guys have like a really strong culture of saunas. And I remember, so I was with my Brazilian friends and we went to the house, and then she's like, okay, let's go to the sauna then. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then she was my friend, my Brazilian friend, he's like, okay, let's go in my shorts. I'm like, no, like you go naked. He's like, but there's like, it's two girls, her and a friend, and then it was me and then him. And I was like, yeah, but this is just how they do it. And he was like, are you sure? And then I was like, yeah. And so we're like there, we're like all naked. And it was just like so funny to him. He was like, trying not to be a pervert and just like,
That's true. Yeah. And people thought that, for example, the university students they are doing that
Yeah.
since year one, all the time, all the parties.
Yeah.
So it is completely normal in our culture.
Yeah, no, totally. And I remember I told you I did this trip to northern Finland. We were couch surfing with this guy
Yeah.
Antti, and then I forgot his friend, but his friend came, and then he drove us to kind of like this Lapland Arctic Circle area. We saw like the Northern Lights, and we came back, and he's like, "Okay, in my apartment building, we have a sauna on the basement, of course." And he was like, "Okay, whoever's last one down there has to do something." And so everyone got naked, and we're just running down the stairs of the apartment. It was like all of us. I don't know. It's like so fun, but it was
Yeah.
like so normal for Finland. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but I kind of miss. Okay, I guess I'll go back. I guess. Thank you. You convinced me.
Definitely.
All right,
I'll find you something interesting when you come.
for sure. And I'll come to the flatland of Finland. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll avoid the swamps and go west a bit.
Yes.
But okay, let's start from the beginning. When was the first time you came to Ukraine?
That was early March. If we're talking about this during this full
No,
scale,
first time ever.
first time ever, I think 2016 or 2017.
Okay,
I
and
came here a couple times as a consultant for a Finnish tech company.
okay, Finnish tech company.
Yeah.
Is it a name that I may be familiar with, or is it?
Most likely no. It was a small startup.
Okay.
They had their own product, and all the development was done here in Ukraine.
Of course.
Yeah. And well, there was fantastic partners here. We visited them in Kharkiv.
Mhm.
That was my first time in Ukraine ever.
Oh,
We flew to Kiev, Boryspil, and drove from there to Kharkiv, and spent about maybe a week or so there.
Mhm.
Next time, same people, but we were meeting in Odessa, and
Odessa,
that's when
okay,
I got
yeah.
the experience of the Arcadia and
Mhm.
everything. And there's been a third time that when I actually managed to be a tourist here,
tourist.
which
Whoa.
was fantastic. My friend and a previous colleague organized together with his wife. They're both Ukrainians,
Mhm.
but they're living in Europe, and they're working also in different tech companies. So they decided that they're going to organize this kind of combined trip for us,
Mhm.
people from these two companies. And it was maybe like 1 week, 2018. We spent that mostly in Kiev, doing all kinds of activities, walking around the city center and maybe a little bit further away as well, trying Ukrainian cuisine. Um, we visited, of course, also the Chernobyl
Chernobyl,
explosion
yeah, okay,
zone and
nice.
such. That was when I was really felt like I want to come back to Ukraine at some point.
Yeah, and let's talk about like the first time.
Yeah.
What were your impressions? Like, you came from Finland to Ukraine, and there is kind of like a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although the problem was that I was working, so I didn't get to enjoy Kharkiv so much. I
Okay, yeah.
slept away from Kiev to Kharkiv in the car.
Mhm.
Occasionally waking up and seeing, it was winter time, so you see only this like flat whiteness around everywhere. And in Kharkiv, we were out mostly during the dark time. We were
Okay.
staying in Kharkiv Palace, which was unfortunately also struck during this full-scale assault. But back then, it was a very nice place in the center of the city.
Mhm.
I've seen it since, this area
Yeah.
where the hotel is, and I never realized how magnificent the whole area looks like, because we were always out when it was dark.
Yeah. No, I've never been to Kharkiv, but I heard it's, such a, I mean, it still is, but I heard it was,
Yeah.
such a nice city.
It reminds me
Yeah.
of some older parts of Helsinki
Mhm.
in the city center. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that there's some very well preserved areas of Helsinki from the like Jugend era and such, and there's a lot of similarities in the architecture in Kharkiv city center.
Yeah. No, I kind of really want to go. I have a lot of friends that invites me. I was telling one of my previous guests that I'm not this kind of guy that goes to these eastern areas unless I have some business to do. I'm not going to
Yeah.
go as like a war tourist and just
Yeah.
like, oh, what's going on? Put my life at risk, put other people's life at risk.
Yeah.
Unless I have like a reason to go, like I'm filming something. I need to maybe interview someone there. I need to do some sort of course. Then I'll go. But it's not really my thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, because I know some people that'll just go just to see it and take photos and stuff. And
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, because I know how unsafe a lot of these areas can be.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
yeah, and Kiev, everywhere in Ukraine is not safe 100%, of course, but Kiev is kind of more safe than a lot of areas because they have like, really good air defense
Yeah,
because of a lot of the politicians are living in Kiev,
yeah,
and this is the capital.
yeah.
It's a,
It's a very dense city.
yeah,
Has to be
exactly.
well protected. Yeah,
Of course, of course. So I understand the risks. I was living in Odessa, and there was a time, maybe like 2 months straight, it was very loud. Like every other night, there was like some sort of attack.
yeah,
I've seen the air defense going off like in the distance a lot of times. I heard explosions like near me.
yeah,
Like it's crazy. And it's like a city. It's
yeah,
like a third, fourth biggest city in Ukraine.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so challenging because it's right there at the sea line.
Yeah.
So you can't really push it so far, the air defense so
Mhm.
far out into the sea. So
Yeah. No, totally. You're absolutely
difficult.
right. And you have a friend from Mykolaiv, and there was a time where, the whole city was getting like attacked, and he was like very scared, but he
Yeah,
was like from there, and this is his home. I don't know. And he was saying there's blackouts, like, I don't know, 12, 16 hours a day.
yeah,
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, the blackouts are. Have you experienced blackouts yet?
yes, a lot.
A lot. Okay.
It's in all of the regions. It's much less in the western areas.
Of
I
course.
think I don't know the schedules of different regions, but that's basically what I've heard that there might be more blackouts, let's say in Kharkiv area, for example, than Rivne or Volyn or Lviv.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, right now it's typically at my flat like 3 to 4 hours
Yeah,
blackout. Maybe like 6 months ago, it was like a lot worse, probably 6 to 8 hours.
yeah,
I mean, it's okay, but I feel like it's going to get worse.
yeah,
Yeah, because they keep attacking like this infrastructure. They're trying to make the civilians freeze, which
yeah.
is terrorism. Yeah.
I do remember the winter 22.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
I was here
that
as
was
well.
like when we were working here in, I guess that was November,
Mm,
December, and we barely had electricity
yeah.
during that time. So every morning we would go to this one gas station in the city
Mhm,
that had electricity always. They had a generator. So we would every morning we would go there, have some breakfast, coffee,
mhm.
charge our devices. That's also the place where we would have internet
Yeah.
available because the towers were not functioning so well. It's a lot better nowadays, even with the attacks and everything. Things are much better shape.
Well, of course. I was here the first winter as well. And the flat I used to live in, it was on the 13th floor.
Yeah,
Oh, I hated it when those blackouts had to walk up like 13 flights of stairs, and
yeah,
I got stuck in the elevator once. So I've been, yeah, I was very bad.
yeah. I can imagine how horrible that's gonna be for people who have any kind of limitations. They have
Yeah.
problems walking or emergency crews if they have to go get somebody from 10th floor or
Yeah.
so. Like,
I never
very
really thought
difficult.
about that, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's a huge issue.
yeah.
Yeah, in general, like Ukraine is not really the most handicap, I guess, friendly country. Yeah, if
You
you,
could say so. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, because I know in the U.S. everything has to, you can't really discriminate with public infrastructure, even private typically. So
yeah,
you need kind of ramps.
yeah,
Yeah, you need, buses need to be acceptable. Buses need to be able to have, some sort of ramps as well.
yeah.
Accessible. That's the word I was looking for. But yeah, okay. So that's like your like impressions of Ukraine a bit. You were here mostly for work, but let's talk about a bit about what you were doing in Finland before you came to Ukraine, because I
Mm,
feel like this will paint a better picture of what you're doing now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So during the time before this full-scale invasion, I was basically civilian working.
Mhm,
I'm still civilian here
mhm,
technically, um, but I was also very interested in topics of history
mhm.
and national defense. We share the same problematic neighbor on our border, and I got I did my service already like 2008.
It's like obligatory, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's obligatory and pretty much 90, 95 or even more. I don't know
Mhm.
the statistics.
Yeah.
Um, do perform it, and there was a gap in between. I wasn't really active in that. I focused on university and all that, and then 2014 happened,
Mhm,
and that got me more interested than in topics of national defense and so.
mhm. And when it comes to 2014, the Euromaidan revolution,
Yeah.
was it televised very well in your country?
Yes, I
Okay.
remember being in my office and watching it on TV, these Russian BTRs approaching these military base in Crimea.
Mhm.
I was like, it can't be happening like that.
Yeah.
And got me thinking that if it happened like that, maybe it can happen also, maybe not in the similar way, but somewhat like a way to us at some point.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so we were talking about the other Finnish girl earlier.
Yeah.
She likes to go by emo. Yeah, I said another name earlier because that's her official name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she goes by emo. But anyways, emo, it's not mandatory or obligatory for women in Finland to do service, right?
It's not
Yeah,
mandatory.
but she decided to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was saying she's currently in the process of it, and she's going to be done with it soon. And she's going to move to Ukraine, back to Ukraine. But she's doing like a lot of good work, fundraising money.
Yeah.
Ambulances mostly. It's great. I really respect her for this.
It's very important. Yeah.
But yeah, she had the same thing that you were saying, that she's like, I'm from Finland, and Finland, we had like a lot of issues with Russia, so I can understand the struggle that Ukraine has trying to kind of, I don't know, battle, and not just battle, but it's like, struggle against a neighbor that, wants to constantly, take your resources, your land, and, kill your people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she was very strong on this. And this is one of the reasons why she joined, the Finnish military, like voluntarily. And then she's using some of these skills to, I guess, help with Ukraine, because she has this idea. She wants to maybe become like a medical instructor at
Yeah.
TechMed or something like this.
Sure.
But yeah, I really respect the Finnish people for that. But yeah, so you were doing that, and then you got interested in Ukraine in 2014. And then what did you do between 2014 and 2022 then?
Well, I would say civilian life, but this time with more interest in anything to do with national defense. So I joined like more the voluntary activities. It's a customary in Finland not to go into details about those, but voluntary activities.
Okay. And so you did that for the years leading up to 2022, right?
Yeah.
And you still
In
kept
an
your eye on.
increasing intensity.
Okay, and then you kept keeping your eye on what's going on in Ukraine, right?
Yes, of course there was this moment like before the new invasion started again, or grand scale assault, where the television, everything was going lower. People weren't talking about it anymore, and it seemed a little bit maybe forgotten. I might be wrong about this, but it's like how I remember it happening. And up until the point when I guess it was end of 21, beginning of 22, when there was more and more discussion online about certain signals that something might be happening, until up to the points that certain dates were starting to be thrown around.
Yeah.
And I remember I was with my friends in a cottage. We were spending 1 week of skiing holiday in a cottage, and to everybody's annoyment, I was glued to my phone reading all these news about what's going to be maybe starting to happen. It didn't happen that week. It was like the 16th or something like that was the date that was thrown around initially.
Yeah.
It didn't happen at that point, but the tensions were still high. And I remember then going back home from the cottage, back to work, still reading that up until the date when it actually started, on Thursday morning. And at that point, like that was then I couldn't work for a couple of days. I was just reading news. I remember people in the company were starting to talk about this phenomena called doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling, yeah.
So I decided that I have some holidays in the bank. Maybe I can use those to do something useful.
And how did you decide what you wanted to do?
Initially, I was open for anything. I was basically volunteering myself that I can come and carry some boxes, do some whatever like mundane things that I can do. And it seemed a bit of a struggle initially. I had one friend who was going back and forth from Czechia into the Ukrainian border, taking equipment there, like supplies, especially like warm stuff. It was the winter when people weren't really prepared for that yet. So anything warm clothes, sleeping bags and such, and taking refugees away from the border.
Yeah.
up until the point that even he was told that maybe would be good to take a break. There's too many people at the borders, nothing is organized,
Hmm.
and it's maybe better to wait until things clarify a bit.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so I left a comment on his Facebook post that
Mhm.
if there's anything, I'm happy to come and help.
Mhm.
So another colleague of mine, my friend, saw that comment and then decided that, have you heard about these Lithuanian people? I was like,
Mhm.
no, I haven't. And
Mhm.
she linked me their Instagram page, and I scrolled through. I was checking like I don't know anything about these people. Like, what is this? Like,
Mhm.
I asked, can you check these videos? They were all in Lithuanian. Like, can you check that? Does this sound like a sane thing?
Yeah.
And she replied to me like 1-2 days later that, yeah, it seems good. Like, great. I'll
Nice.
send them a message. I sent them a message on Instagram about what I'm able to do. Like, mostly that I would love to join you, help with anything humanitarian or so. But I also listed other things that I have been learning on my own,
Mhm.
um, in the voluntary military activities and so. And their reply was quite short. It's like, sounds good, welcome. And we
Nice.
started to organize from there.
Oh, nice. So you started working with Lithuanian people, right? With
Yeah,
Lithuanian.
initially, yeah.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
And then you came into Ukraine when exactly? Like which month?
Now I can't remember the exact date, but it's in the beginning part of March.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's like first couple of weeks of March
Yes.
2022, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's fresh.
It's like maybe 9th or something like that.
So what were your impressions? Or first of all, when you were crossing the border, what did you see? Like what was your experience?
That was still the time that we were crossing from Lviv region, and
Mhm.
that was the border crossing where there's a lot of people coming out by foot. So I remember seeing the amount of cars in the border, and the amount of buses, and the endless queue of people walking out with their whatever they could carry, backpack, suitcase, or something. Kids, old people walking in the same line there, and after crossing the border, I think the border crossing was very quick.
Mm.
There was like time when there was almost no special processes or anything. It was very quick. And while we were driving towards Lviv, it was still daylight, and you could see these barrels there maybe every 100 meters, every few
Mhm.
hundred meters. People were keeping fires on them so that refugees who are leaving by foot, they can keep themselves warm.
Oh, wow.
It was quite cold during that time.
Yeah, it was winter basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you saw like maybe a lot of, women, children, I don't know, just people taking all their belongings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever they could carry.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
That's very sad for me because, you have to leave your home.
Yeah.
Yeah, during the invasion, so I was living in a suburb of Kiev. It's called Kotsibinsky.
Yeah.
And it's kind of near the area of Irpin Bucha. And so I left because I knew something was probably going to happen. My ex lived in Mukachevo. So I went to Mukachevo like a week before
Yeah.
the invasion. But then I couldn't go home for like several months because that area wasn't safe. And even when it was evacuated, or excuse me, the Russians retreated, it was still kind of a bit sketchy because mines. And
Yeah.
so I didn't go home for a while, and I can imagine, I can only imagine it's like times 10 for someone that had to flee from these currently occupied areas.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
just can't go home. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to go home, my stuff is there.
Yeah.
I don't know, my memories were there. Yeah, I can only imagine what these people are going through when they're crossing the border. But anyway, so you came into Ukraine. And you went. I'm imagining you started in Lviv, right? You're
Yes.
okay. And
Yeah.
what was it like, in Lviv?
Uh, it was kind of weird, to be honest. So everything was quiet, and not a lot of things happening around. People were kind of on the edge, and I think the mood of soldiers was quite different then. There was a lot of worry
Mhm.
during that time, which changed, when the counteroffensive, everything started later. But at that time, there was a lot of worry, and air alarms, they were quite frequent. There was one bombing in not straight to Lviv, but the airport during that time, and every day there was at least one or more air raid alarms, and I would say that it wasn't the time when people were still used to the rhythm or so. Like, what does this all mean? So never knew what's going to happen. We weren't out a lot of the times. We were basically taken by car between our accommodation and where we were working. At the end of day, the same car would take us back. Morning would pick us up and take there. So we never really walked far. Pretty much nowhere from the apartment and not very far away from the place where we were working at the time.
And so, what were you doing exactly in Lviv then?
Initially, the Lithuanians had done amazing job on gathering all kinds of medical supplies, protective equipment, field suitable food, and all that. So I helped the group then set up a humanitarian storage in Lviv. It was like maybe half of a sports hall or so, like a basketball court
Yeah.
area of a room. It became full of stuff. And the first 3 medics that were equipped by them already came in that same evening, and they got what they needed, and they headed east.
Wow. So, when you talked with these Lithuanian people, I know they have like a similar history as Finland, like these Baltic
Yes,
areas.
yeah.
When you talked to them, what was their motivation, for being there? And they started
Same.
early. The same.
Their
Okay.
motivation was the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
they felt a lot of sympathy for Ukrainians, and they also had the feeling that they could have been next.
Yeah.
Or instead of Ukraine, it could have been them.
Yeah.
So a lot of same feelings.
Yeah, and I hate this kind of Russian narrative saying that the reason why Russia invaded Ukraine is because NATO keeps expanding,
Yeah.
and they make it seem like NATO just like, oh, I want Estonia, like, so now we take Lithuania, and then we just take Finland now.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like it's like these people applied, and then they had to do the proper submission forms, the application, and then NATO had to decide with all the countries whether they want to take them or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. This Russian narrative is like so crazy to me. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
NATO just keeps invading other
Yeah.
countries. Like,
Yeah, maybe you have seen those memes online about comparison how countries join NATO and how countries join Russia.
oh yeah, of
Yeah,
course, of
so-
course. Yeah, it's basically it. It's like night and day.
Yeah.
But okay, so how you only spent like a minimal amount of time because you said you were on basically vacation at
Yeah.
this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did you stay in Ukraine at this point?
Couple weeks.
A couple weeks. Okay.
And but yeah, that humanitarian part, that was basically that one day. And after that, there was in the same place a resistance school. It was a time that a lot of rifles were handed out to civilians,
Oh,
but
yeah.
no training. Tens of thousands of rifles, but not a lot of training. The training was left basically on individuals who had the skills and had the motivation to start teaching people. So I joined in the same space another group, started going daily there to help them teach people how to use Kalashnikov rifle, basically. It was a course where about 100 people every day,
Like all Ukrainians?
all Ukrainians
Right.
every day. And half of the day they would learn first aid, medicine.
Mhm.
And half of the day they would learn how to use the Kalashnikov.
Mhm.
And this is basically like they're not soldiers, they're learning to protect themselves and their homes.
Yeah.
In case it would happen that the Russians would make their way to Lviv, or there would be some kind of breakout of restlessness. Like,
Yeah. Well, I remember these photos of the early like first few days of the full scale invasion. You like these photos from Kiev, and it shows this random guys, dressed in like civilian clothes,
Yeah.
with an AK.
Yeah.
Just it's kind of like stuck with me. There's many images that I've seen from the first first few weeks of the full scale invasion. Like, for example, like that photo stuck with me with the civilians just having weapons now. Another one is like the marauders being taped to the poles.
Yeah. I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also on the flip side, like something more tragic is the pictures that emerged from Bucha once it was deoccupied.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just heart wrenching. Like, yeah, I used to have my doctor's office was in Bucha because I told you I was Kutsubinsky is Buchansky Rayon.
Yeah.
So I'm not too familiar with that area, but I've been there several times, and I don't know, just really sad to look at. And
Yeah.
I don't know, there's like some stuff that just stuck with me from that first few weeks that I wanted to share. But okay, so after you did all of this, you made some connections, you came back to Finland to continue
Yeah.
what you were doing before, And what was the kind of the deciding factor where you're like, you know what, I need to spend more time in Ukraine and I need to do more work for
Oh,
Ukraine. I need to start line defense team. Yeah, what
oh
was this?
no, it wasn't yet at that point. I was with a Lithuanian group
Mm,
called Luxuvire.
mm,
I was with them all the way until August. Um, so basically, what happened after that is immediately when I got home, I got the feeling that I have to go back.
mm.
I just have to go back,
No.
and I was trying to figure out like how to do that, and I had a like good understanding with people back home about possibility of coming here and making it work somehow. And also things have changed in between. I was maybe 1.5 weeks in Finland in between before coming back, and in that meantime, the whole operation had moved to another city,
Mhm.
and we were training people who were looking to join the military,
Yeah.
people who volunteered to take up arms to defend the country. And that was basically the whole summer. Then went with that. The from April all the way until August, we were doing like 6 days a week, 100 people a day, and usually it was like 1 day course of again how to use the rifle, how to maneuver with that,
Mhm.
and how to do some basic first aid. Not much than applying a tourniquet or so.
Yeah.
So time was limited, and we had to squeeze as much as possible relevant knowledge in
Yeah.
1 day. In
Yeah.
1 day,
And so you're going back and forth from Finland to Ukraine a lot. You never actually lived in Ukraine, right?
no,
No. Okay.
yeah,
Why didn't you want to make the leap to just live in Ukraine since you're spending a lot of time and energy to this
well,
country?
mortgage.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm I'm tied.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
tied.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But I mean, it's good that you can actually spend your free time over here to help.
yeah,
And what I understand now, it's what I understand about life as someone. I'm 36 years old, by the
yeah,
way. Is that a lot of people, whether they know it or not, they're trying to find maybe like a purpose. And I noticed like a lot of people that come to Ukraine, they feel like this is like their perfect a purpose in this is one of their purposes in life, and they can make a huge difference. They can
mm,
save lives. They can help people in so many different ways. Refugees, make people's lives, instantly and dramatically better just by being here and doing something. For example, there was this guy on my podcast, Richard Woodruff.
yes,
Yeah. So Richard was on my podcast. And he was saying, I wanted to help, and he's like, I can spend 300 euros making these drones, and then I can take out like $1 million kind of missile defense system or something like this, or $1 million like tank or something like this. And the more equipment that's my drones are taking out, the more Ukrainian lives are being saved. It's
yeah,
like in a way, I feel like it's not about I'm building these to kill Russians or kill people. No, I'm building these to save Ukrainians,
mm,
and I love these people. I want to save them.
yeah,
And it's like it's a true purpose in life. It's not a selfish one about I want to make the most money, Elon Musk style.
yeah, yeah,
It's more about I want to save people.
yeah,
And this is I don't know. And this is I feel like I'm not in this sphere of like saving people,
mm,
but I just like talking about Ukraine and just keeping it like on the top of people's minds.
yeah,
And I don't know. And I like introducing people that's because people like you inspire me. All my guests that come on, I just talk to them and they inspire me. And I love just sharing these stories because I feel like
yeah,
it will make a difference. Maybe somebody watching this back home, they're like, I want to be like Tomi. How do I do this? And then they do some military training in their home country and they come over here and they instruct. I don't know, something like
yeah,
this.
yeah.
But yeah, it seems like this is kind of one of your purposes in life, right?
Yes, and I would say that for me personally, and I believe for a lot of the people in the team, it was easy to find the purpose because this is what we have been doing at home. We have been voluntarily preparing for scenarios like this. So being able to then come here and work with the locals and share what we have been taught, um, it's already like fulfills the purpose
Mhm.
of why we have been doing all of this at home.
Yeah. Is there anybody that you met like specifically that you were like, it's just such a good story. It makes you want to work harder or something like inspirational.
Every time, yeah, every time we get direct feedback from the people that we have previously trained. Or there's also been situations where during the training we already get the kind of feedback that brings kind of chills to the spine. Um, Last year we were doing a medical training, and one of the border guards who was attending this training, he was initially sitting in the back row and listening, kind of gauging like what's going on, and gradually every break he was moving closer and closer and closer until he was in the first row. He was very interested, asking a lot of questions, paid a lot of attention to everything that the medical team was telling. And after everything, he came to talk with the team. He told them that he's from a unit that was engaged in combat before, and 97% of them lost their lives. And he told the team that if they had more this kind of practice, situation might be different. And that's like something that stops you. In Finland, when you're doing these trainings, you're doing it for people who are not actively engaging in combat, and they're not expected to engage in combat anytime soon. And then you do this here, and you get this kind of feedback. That's quite powerful.
Oh no,
It stops.
no, you're absolutely right. And also with Rima, the Lithuanian American, I did a stop the bleed course. Just simple like how to put on a tourniquet, but it was more than that. It wasn't just this is how you put it on, this is how you take it off. It was more of like, say something happens, you have a tourniquet. How do you identify who you put this tourniquet on?
Yeah.
Is it the guy that just has like a cut in his arm, but it's not bleeding too much, but it looks kind of bad? Is it that guy, or is it the guy that's like squirting blood like everywhere?
Yeah.
Which guy is it? Is the one that and also like how to stop the wound and how much you put in and how much pressure you put on it. I don't know. It's very insightful, and I'm a civilian, and like I said, I don't really go to these Eastern areas, but I always in my backpack over there as well. I always carry a tourniquet. I just bought one and also have gloves as well. So I just put it in my backpack or my small little banana bag that I carry sometimes. I have it in there or there just in case something may happen. And it's kind of like a sad reality of living in a country at war. You have to be kind of prepared, whether it's to put on yourself or just to help somebody else, because of you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And it is the most needed equipment of first aid that every soldier should have. Not just one, but maybe two minimum, four preferably. So most of the casualties, they end up happening because of massive bleeding.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the easiest to stop if it happens to be on the limbs with the tourniquet. Simple, small like piece of equipment.
Yeah.
That can make a huge difference.
Well, it makes a huge difference, and like it all depends on the quality as well, because Rima is always making videos like, stop buying Chinese tourniquets.
Yeah. There's interesting things that about tourniquets exactly related to the qualities.
Yeah.
So for example, Cat 7, it's like everybody wants Cat 7. It's expensive relatively compared to a lot of alternatives, but it works. And it's a guaranteed quality. It would be a waste to use those for training purposes. So rather give those to people who are actually going to combat, they need those, and use something cheaper for training. But then there comes these Chinese tourniquets. We use always blue and red tourniquets in trainings, specifically for the purpose that nobody mistakes them as a real thing.
Yeah.
We can see them on people's equipment. We can take them away after the training. They won't end up in combat with one of those training things that might snap when you actually need to use it.
Yeah. That's smart. I know there was, when I was training with tourniquets, I know there was very colorful ones there.
Yeah.
I didn't make that connection though.
Yeah, they might be like looking exactly and functioning exactly like a Cat 7, but there might be some material defects. They don't last as much. And of course, you shouldn't reuse tourniquets. If you use it for training, you shouldn't use it on your equipment for the real purpose.
Yeah.
So
maybe you can explain why you shouldn't use it.
The material gets fatigued.
Yeah.
It can snap.
Yeah.
And it might end up in a situation that it's not fully stretched out. Of course, I'm trying, like, tempted not to say this because I don't want people then, pulling these training tourniquets straight and think that now it's okay.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing you can do. Don't use training tourniquets in real situations at all. Yeah.
Can I? So I know that you do instructing.
Yeah.
And I know that you do some military activities in Finland. Have you ever had to apply a tourniquet on someone that was actively bleeding?
No,
No.
thank
Okay.
God, no.
Yeah. Thank God. Yeah. Yeah. No, I know a lot of these instructors. Yeah. Like their specialty is actually, not having to get to that, having to
Yeah,
train people to do that. And yeah, I'm just, curious, but I remember asking Rima the same
yeah,
question, and she's like, no, actually, yes. And I'm like,
yeah,
what do you mean? She's like, oh, we were training, with the tourniquets, and then some guy, like, he did something, and there was like some glass, and he cut his arm, and
yeah,
we had the tourniquets, so we had to like do like a live
yeah,
demonstration. He was like bleeding. But
yeah,
yeah, she's like, oh, it was like a super random occurrence.
yeah.
But she's like, that was like the only time we had to apply it. But I heard Rima might transition to do some more, I guess, not training work, but yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, when I mentioned that I haven't had to put it on anybody who's actually bleeding or bleeding out, I'm also not the one instructing on that
Mhm.
most of the times. Like for example, this previous group that we had, they're all medical professionals. They're
Mhm.
from paramedics to trauma doctors.
Mhm.
They even teach other doctors how to treat trauma patients. So they have seen it all. They
Yeah.
have done a lot of things in the civilian life that translate into a lot of good experience and knowledge here
Mhm.
in their work.
So when it comes to instructing your instructing expertise, what would you feel is, the topic or the subject or the training or the exercise that you prefer to do, or that you're
Well,
the best equipped at?
I've been doing these firearms trainings
Mm.
and fortification trainings, concealment. So I'm more of an engineering background for myself.
Okay. And I saw you shared with me a presentation. It was the Lion Defense Team, kind of what you all do.
Yeah,
Can I
there's
can I
an
talk about that a bit, or
intro.
is this kind
Yeah,
of like secret?
yeah, you can,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you were talking about, you do a sniper training,
Mm.
you do I guess, weapons training. You also do, there's like a few other things. Gotta like translate the slides just so I understood, and some of the text didn't appear. Anyways, but yeah, can you talk about this? Like everything that. Oh, first of all, let's talk about Lion Defense Team. Like,
Mm.
what is this? How did it start? And who are these people involved? They're all Finnish people.
Sure, yeah. So yeah, our whole team is Finnish,
Mm.
and that's one of the key things also that we wanted to keep it that way, because then we have a common background, we have common language. It's easy for us to organize ourselves and then run these different topics because we have the same background, we have the same training. There are some differences to, let's say, other NATO countries because of our we haven't been in NATO more than 2 years,
Mhm.
and we haven't been preparing for all these different things that are happening in the world. We have been preparing to defend ourselves against the one country
Mhm.
that happens to be next door.
Mhm.
So a lot of the things are then suitable for exactly that purpose.
Mhm.
uh, how it happened or how it came to be is that I was with this Lithuanian group initially for that first half a year. Great people, very active, but there was a moment that a lot of people were kind of they had seen their time and they were looking to go home, and I also at that point thought that you know it seems that things are kind of quieting down, so I also went home.
Mhm.
I thought that maybe I'm gonna do something else. I wasn't done with Ukraine, no,
Mhm.
but I was maybe thinking of doing something completely different, not doing instructing work.
Mhm.
Anyways, I was still getting like we had ultimately more Finnish people also join the Lithuanian group,
Mhm.
and I was still receiving messages from people that is there still something to do, that they would be having now a situation that they're able to join and they're able to come.
Mhm.
I was like, fine, let's do another round.
Yeah, nice.
So okay, that's basically we didn't have a team, we didn't have a name, we didn't have anything. We got one donation car, like maybe 1 hour before we were supposed to be in the ferry,
Mhm.
and there was three of us. We drove to Ukraine, and our local contacts, who also we were working with the Lithuanian group, they organized us a training,
Mhm.
and it went well. Uh, Trainees were happy. The team felt like we're gonna come again, and back home more, they were talking with their friends and people from similar circles. So it just started gaining
Yeah.
momentum like a snowball. So we decided that we have to make this somehow more set.
Okay. And then Lion Defense Team. I keep looking at your patch.
Yeah.
Over here. So so this is like the coat of arms of Finland, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. Okay.
Yeah. Because so this is one thing I noticed here with a lot of groups. They combine their own national symbol with the national symbol of Ukraine, and it's kind of like to show unity.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what we wanted as well.
Okay.
Felt that maybe it's a little bit difficult to kind of fit the lion and the trident together, but we managed. So.
Oh no, it's great. Yeah, it's like Ukrainian colors. Yeah.
Yeah,
I see
and the
tridents.
colors. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, on the stick. Yeah, nice. So you started the organization Lion Defense Team.
Yeah.
And then you tell me again. Maybe you explained it briefly, but how did you gather all of these Finnish people to join?
Well, when we figured out that this is going to stay, we're going to continue this, and we are getting more, I would say, like organized. So after that, we were basically just taking referrals from people who joined. Do they know other people who have a lot of experience in training people in Finland? So that's baseline. They have to have experience in doing training work in Finland.
Okay. And it was coincidental, I guess, but you said a lot of these people are from a similar area as you in Finland, right?
Initially, yeah.
Okay.
There is something about the people from my local area that makes them do these kind of things. But
yeah, and if you don't mind me asking, how many people are in LDT?
now we are about 40 people.
40 people.
We are
All
looking to
Finnish.
expand next year. Right now we have about, I would say, 30 applications and kind of doing the sorting at the moment. Maybe next year we will do the following steps to kind of prepare and still shortlist even further from there.
Yeah. Okay. And how many people do you train per day with 40 people?
So this we are not here now all the time. We come to do projects every now and then, and it depends always what kind of people or profiles we have available. Then who do we work with here, and what kind of groups they want to have trained. I would say typically it's something like 20 or 30 people at a time, and the trainings are maximum 1 week.
Okay.
This is limited because everybody is doing this as a volunteer, so it's limited largely by how much can they take time away from their jobs back home.
Okay.
And families, of course.
Yeah, of course. And what's if you don't mind me asking again, what units do you work with to train?
We're almost all of the branches of defense.
Okay.
So it varies a lot.
Okay. And all right, so 20. Okay. And have you so you're here for about a couple weeks? Okay. And can you talk about like what you've been doing lately?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just this 1 week, we came to Ukraine with training team and also a material section, or so to say, people driving extra cars and everything here. We delivered a cargo for the Air Force, to be more specific, the 204th Sevastopol Tactical Aviation Brigade. I find that super important because they are part of the air defense, protecting cities, protecting people, infrastructure from missiles, from drones and such. So important place to put some support in. We're supporting volunteer operations in Ukraine. One is a completely humanitarian or civilian-run organization that produce dried food, preserved food, and all kinds of sweets and stuff for the front. And together with other organizations from Finland and our friends, we brought them equipment that allows them to do their work even more effectively.
Okay.
So basically, vacuum sealing packages, machines, and bigger ovens, cutters, all that kind of stuff, industrial machines.
And I think I saw that you guys have been doing such good work that you've been recognized by the government, right? You've won some awards?
Yes. We've been recognized by General Zaluzny before.
Zaluzny,
for the training work.
Yeah. How'd that come to be?
I have no idea. I think somebody has made some recommendation somewhere.
Okay, nice. And so how does this work? They just send it to you in the mail. They
No, no,
call
no,
you. Hey, this is
no.
Zaluzhny.
There was a
Привет.
there was a event.
Oh,
I haven't actually met Salusny personally, but
mhm,
there was this event that was organized for like a ceremony, small ceremony,
mhm,
and it was run by the local administration,
mhm.
and where they gathered us all and handed those out.
How does it feel being recognized by one of like the top people in the Ukrainian military?
Well, this work, it there's a lot of ups and downs,
Mhm,
and that's one of the moments, especially when you're in your like lower moments, something like that coming along is gonna throws you back up high there,
mhm,
and gives a lot of extra motivation, and also helps back home to communicate what we have been doing here and to show also people who might be supporting us, because our whole funding is dependent on what people decide to support us with.
mhm.
We don't get paid anything in Ukraine, and we're not looking for that, but we need to somehow fund this operation.
Yeah.
And so we are collecting funds in Finland, and showing these kind of proofs of work has huge impact. It
Mm.
shows that we're not just talking, we are actually doing things, and the things that we do are also seen as somewhat valuable here.
Yeah. It's no, it's very respectable, and I like how it's kind of grassroots, and it's all Finnish people coming together to do this.
Yeah.
No, and so about like your Finnish friends as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you know the people there.
Yeah.
Is this? I don't know too much about it besides my friend Emo that we talked about, how she's kind of associated with it. This is another all Finnish organization.
Yeah. Or not entirely, but yes, they are a Finnish organization, and very good people.
Mm.
I know many of them,
Okay.
and we do have occasionally like meetups in Finland.
Hey, some tarhu together.
Yeah, exactly. I I
Karhu.
visited their like holiday party and such. So
Yeah.
yeah, we definitely know, and we do collaboration on individual things here and there whenever it's possible. So
Yeah, yeah. No, it's great. I know, like I said before, the Finnish people, the Ukrainian people, they have like a similar, shared history when it
yeah,
comes to Russian aggression. It's good that you guys can come together and just fight back, I
yeah,
guess. It's safety in numbers, like stronger together.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, we don't have too much time, but I want to kind of do a couple more topics really quick. One of them is so you've gone to Kharkiv, you've told me. Have you
Yeah.
gone to like other areas in the east?
Yes,
You know,
pretty
that are
much throughout, not to the exact front line, but in the proximity all over the eastern front,
Mhm.
and also in the southern areas all the way to Orihiv, and from there to
Mm.
again the round trip
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
east. Yes.
And what's it like over there? Like in these cities or these towns, these villages that are, under attack?
Uh, it varies so much from city to city or village to village. Some there's you don't see any people anymore.
Mm.
A lot of the buildings are completely destroyed.
Mm.
In some places, there's still people trying to live their life.
Mhm.
They've been living there maybe their whole life, and situation might be completely varying from city to city, and in some places might be very difficult, but still people are living there.
Mhm.
And but definitely sad to see how much has been destroyed there.
Have you ever had any close calls
Um, well, in Kiev maybe was the
in
closest.
Kyiv? Whoa.
Yeah,
Well,
last New Year.
oh, you want to explain the situation, or is it?
Well, that was my only time that I was actually able to have a vacation, like in Ukraine, in a long time, and I was with my friend in Kiev, and that was the when the big bombardment happened
Mhm.
in the like north of the city center,
Mm.
and well, was at the hotel when it started in the morning, sleeping. So I woke up to the first missile exploding, and it was over quite quickly
Mm.
after that.
Yeah.
But that's probably the closest. Otherwise, we have good partners here in Ukraine when we go deliver equipment to the
Mhm.
soldiers. They keep contact. They know the people very well. They keep contact, and they figure out what's the best way to do it, so that it's easy for them, and it's also relatively safe for us.
Mhm.
They take good care of managing, for example, time, like which roads can we take, that we don't end up in difficult places during the dark times of the day, and we don't spend too much time in locations where it's not preferable. We also don't want to cause any difficulties for the people who are then stationed there, or like sleeping in certain places or so.
Yeah.
We don't want to cause them any difficulties.
Like, can you imagine yourself? I know you have, mortgage back home. You have, a lot of roots there. But can you imagine yourself living in Ukraine, like one day in the future?
Yeah.
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 So if the government decided that, what, thank you all for your work, we'd love to give you a passport. I mean, after the war, they're not going to trick you. Here's your passport. Now, here's your posvitka. Povestki. You have to come to the war now. No. But if they offer you a passport, would you take it, or a permanent residency?
I think yes.
Yeah.
I have a residency at the moment, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would.
Yeah.
And I have a dream of maybe having a small cottage at some
Cottage,
point in
a
Ukraine
dacha,
somewhere. Yeah. But also at the same time, I'm kind of a person who would like to go all over the world in different places, moving around. But
Yeah. No, I just love Ukraine. I've been here 9 years, almost 10 years
yeah,
now. Next year is 10 years. I love it here. I love the people. I made some great connections,
yeah,
great friends. And I can imagine visiting other places,
yeah,
but I just feel more comfortable here. I feel like this is my home now.
yeah,
And yeah, it's so great to hear, from other foreign people that they kind of see the same thing I see in a city, in a country. Because sometimes I feel like I'm crazy. Because a lot of Ukrainian people are like, "You're from the U.S. I'd leave Ukraine a minute. I'd leave Ukraine in a minute if I was from the U.S. and go back there."
But probably people also in Finland are saying that sometimes, like, okay,
Yeah.
you're staying there for a longer time, like asking why.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
you coming from somewhere else, you see all the things that they take as granted.
Yeah, exactly,
And
exactly. But
yeah,
we've reached our time. But I'll tell
yeah.
you what. Is there something that we didn't discuss that you want to discuss? Something. One of your experiences, a story that you wanted to share, anecdote, anything,
Uh,
or something you want the audience to know about what's going on in Ukraine.
well, definitely, like we are going to be here for the long haul, so until the end, and we will love to see the day when Ukraine reaches back the 91 borders, and you know it's all over, rebuilding can start, and maybe finally I get to visit some other places in Ukraine, that I've only seen in pictures or so. So,
If you're ever looking for a travel buddy, I'll go with you. I can
oh
show you
yeah,
some cool parts of Ukraine, man.
I'm counting on you.
Oh, for sure, man. But I'll tell you what. Now, what we can do is you can look in this camera. You can plug your Lion Defense team organization,
Yeah,
your personal social media if you want to, or any other organization or anything you want to plug. Just look in that camera. Go ahead.
yeah. So yeah, we're working here all the time, doing the projects. Um, you know, I'm very bad at this kind of.
Oh no, it's fine. We can cut it,
Yeah,
edit it. So yeah, don't worry.
yeah. So yeah, if you're interested more about the work that we do here in Ukraine, you can follow us on X, on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and of course our own website, liondefenseteam.com.
And what were your social media handles for X and Instagram and Blue Sky?
It's Lion Defense Team, all together, small letters,
Okay.
except the Instagram, which happens to be for some reason with underscores.
Underscores. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, either way, we're gonna add all of these to the description of this video.
yeah.
So yeah, and all right, so I'll sign off right now. But yeah, thanks again, guys, for watching this episode of Expats in Ukraine with your host me, Corey. And it was great chatting with you, Tommy. And if you like this
Likewise.
episode, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more interesting, awesome guests just like Tomi, subscribe to the channel. There'll be more guests coming up just like this. Maybe not as cool and as inspirational. There's a lot of inspirational people coming up. Yeah. But no, you inspire me. Like, I don't know, especially that you don't live here full time. You spend, so much time going back and forth. I know this is like awesome. And I really do mean it. Once the war ends and you need a travel buddy, I'm going with you. Okay. But
Thank you.
yeah, so and if you want to, you're going to read the comments, by the way, of this video.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to chat with Tomi, or you want to ask a question, or you just want to give kudos to what he does, leave a comment down below. He said he's going to read it. I read the comments all the time, and I'll be here for the live premiere as well. So yeah, Tomi, thank you so much for joining us. And I like to shake the hand of the guest over here. So yeah, come on up.
Alrighty.
All right, thanks for coming down. I really appreciate what you do, man.